What's up, my fellow geeks, nerds, and movie lovers? Welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday. I'm Ruben, and today we are talking about a movie based on a true story. Check out these Google images of the house that this film is talked about before it was bulldozed in 2016. Today I'm talking about Netflix's new horror thriller, The Deliverance, and I've got some stuff to say about this one, so let's jump straight into it. So The Deliverance is a horror thriller hybrid that doesn't just rely on jump scares or loud score sound bites. If Stephen King and Jordan Peele got together to write a religious exorcist movie, this would probably be it. It's a smart, tense film and knows exactly how to get under your skin if you have a similar background like I do. I have a church background. My dad is a pastor or a priest, however you want to talk about somebody that is the leader of a church. He has been for many years, still is today. So I grew up in Christianity, heard people that needed an exorcism
with us.
I've been stuck in my bed one time when I was a kid. If you ever have a nightmare and you can't move, it's one of those things. I've experienced that one time in my life. So I have this religious background experience. So when coming into a movie that is about possession or exorcism, my hairs are already on the end of my neck, stand up and going, I don't know if I want to watch this. This is how I came into this movie. So everything I say in this review is with a caveat and one slight other kind of word of warning. If you have a fear of somebody throwing up, then at the beginning of this movie, there is someone that throws up. You don't see it, but you do hear it. And it's probably the most realistic sound of throwing up I've heard in a long time that made me gag, and I didn't like that. So that's just a word of warning. Let's carry on. So this film is based on fact, sort of. In a case wildly covered at the time, Loretta Amos and her 3 children experienced strange incidents in their Gary, Indiana home that grew progressively worse. The children were levitating, becoming violent with one another, and speaking in deep growls with no recollection afterwards. But the police department and child services and the local church and the hospital all became involved and filed reports of supernatural occurrences that corroborated the story somewhat. What I absolutely love about it is that it blends genres. Sure, on the surface it's a horror flick, but dig a little deeper, you'll find elements of psychological thrillers, family drama, and even a bit of dark fantasy. Dark fantasy comes where the lore plays a part in it. It's like the filmmakers took all of these geeky ingredients and cooked up something that we've seen many times before and give us a slice of reality to make it much more creepy, because when you base something in reality and you add all those supernatural events or occurrences, then it feels more real. Visually, the film looks great. The cinematography has an almost gothic vibe to it. There are some night shots that are, I guess, eerily similar to that of The Exorcist. That kind of springs to mind whenever anybody talks about possession movies, but I think it's accurate for what we have in this film here. The way it's shot, the creepy vibes, all particularly play a part in the slowness of the first hour of this film, which brings me to talking about the tension of the film. I would say it's a masterclass in building suspense. It's got that slow burn quality where every scene raises the tension just a little bit more until you're practically holding your breath. I think at the end I was, actually, but you have to earn the scares that you're expecting when it comes to this sort of film. Some might think this is a slow burn, but I appreciated getting to know the characters. So when the creepy stuff does happen and hits our family, you care about it because you've earned it. The pacing is on point for a slow burn, never boring, always building. It gives you time to soak in the atmosphere, to get freaked out by some of the supernatural elements that occur, but you're just not quite sure that the supernatural elements did actually occur. It's just kind of setting up foreshadowing for things to come. And let's not forget about the characters. Obviously, I need to talk about those. The sibling dynamics are very compelling. Each one has their own baggage, their trauma. These play out against the backdrop of being poor, moving homes, having a mom who was an alcoholic, a gran who was undergoing chemo. It's pure storytelling gold. When you mix all of that together and then you add these supernatural events, this is what I was talking about, grounding it in realism. The performances are excellent, especially from the lead actress, who gives a deeply nuanced portrayal of someone battling inner demons while facing very, very real demons. If you're a fan of horror movies that do more than just scare you, movies like Hereditary or a series like Prime Video's Them, then The Deliverance is right up your alley. It's got the same sense of dread, where the horror isn't just in the things that go bump in the night, but in the very real human emotions that these supernatural elements are tied to. Now, I want to talk about the plot twists without spoilers, obviously. Let's just say that the Deliverance is what it is. It does exactly what you expect it to do on the tin. So it doesn't have any plot twists, especially as we have the true story out there and probably various versions of it have already been explored. So it's not like there's going to be any twists that you aren't expecting. And it does do play-by-play of similar films where they have a tried and tested 3-part arc, introducing the characters, introducing the stuff that's about to happen and people not believing them, and then doing that complete crazy ending. All of that plays out exactly like you'd expect it to. But the twists come in the horror element. Where you would expect the horror to be creepy, they do something even more than that. It's got some horrific layers. It's like playing a horror-themed D&D campaign where the DM just keeps giving you what you're expecting to get in little bite-sized pieces, and then blame a demented demigorgon that is on your roof upside down. Probably the ending as well is a film that's probably going to stick in your mind if you have my sort of upbringing. You probably won't trust it. You'll wonder if what happens in the ending stuck. If you like horror thrillers, then I think this is definitely probably your cup of tea, especially if you like that religious overtone. Possession movies, those are a dime a dozen, but this gives you a lot of time to get to grips with the characters. I liked each of the characters. I thought their performances were epically played, especially the young kid who has to do some of the contortions. Now, I would say that the weakest part of this film is probably some of the special effects when it comes to the CGI part of it, because our characters are forced to move in certain ways that are supernatural like. There are times when what you see on screen isn't believable. Even though it's a supernatural bit, you allow it to do what it's doing, because seeing a human body contort or speak in various horror tropes like we've seen before, it takes you a little bit out of it because the movie doesn't quite have the budget to make it as crisp as it needed to be. Those moments are few and far between. There's a lot of practical effects from the acting, from the actors playing these parts in contorted movements or delivering lines or prosthetics that make this film feel once again real, with its groundedness in the characters that have each individually, especially for the family, been very well realized in the writing and the performances. So I would say that this is one to watch if you like your horrors, creepy, scary, building, and then to pay off on a bonkers sort of way. That's what this film does really well. I'm going to give this 4 Nicolas Cages out of 5.
And you got one.
Thanks so much for watching my review. Got a bunch dropping today. I've been watching a bit over the week. Let me know your thoughts on those reviews. Are you going to check it out? Don't forget, we have a live podcast with Movies and Munchies every week that we do on the best thing we watched, and that will be 4 p.m. UK time on Saturday. Yep, pretty sure it's Saturday. I'm trying to figure out what day of the week it is. I hope you enjoy these reviews. I'm trying to script them a little bit better so they have a bit more coherence. So it might take me longer to get reviews out, but hopefully you will see that I say more concise things and the review is entertaining somewhat. So give me your thoughts and feedback down below. I'd love to know your thoughts on this. What is your favorite possession horror film that's not The Exorcist? Because so many people have The Exorcist and mentioned, but there are others that are genuinely creepy that feel like they have a good story as well. Not just grounded in jump scares or horrific contortion moments, but you care about the characters. Let's give our viewers that love horror some things to talk about in the comments below, and maybe some films to add to their list. Thanks so much for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.